I'm going to get started on the student panel, and I am very pleased and very proud to introduce this group. I think they're rock stars, to be perfectly honest. Takes a lot of guts to sit up here, by the way. We selected this panel. It was very specific why these folks were chosen. We wanted people that had graduated recently and had gone to work in manufacturing. So we have one student, his name is Yevgeniy Brutskiy, and he's representing a career track at BOCES, which Assemblyman Brindisi just talked to you about. Yevgeniy went to Whitesboro High School and also went to OHM BOCES, where he studied welding. So apparently he had a guidance counselor that didn't say, "What are you doing with welding?" Welding was absolutely what he enjoyed to do. So he went to work for a local manufacturer, and he's going to talk to you about that. We also have John Metott, and John is a returning student who came from the military, the Navy, and then went to MVCC. After studying at MVCC, he landed a job at GLOBALFOUNDRIES in Malta. Okay, so he's going to talk to you a little about that. Our third panelist is Victoria Curz-Griffith. She went to Utica College and is now working for Indium Corporation, which is one of our exhibitors over there. So she's wearing two hats today. And Vicky's going to talk to you about her degree, which is not in a STEM field, but yet she's working in the manufacturing field as well. And then our fourth and final panelist is one of ours. She's Theresa Corr, and she went to SUNY IT, because that's what we were called then. She's a manufacturing engineer at Trenton Technologies. So these are our panelists. Without further ado, and before I get them up here and start talking, we have 3 microphones, as you can clearly see, in the middle between the chairs. After each panelist speaks, I'd like you to come up and to the microphone with questions for them, okay? I want this to be very interactive. Is that right? Okay. Hopefully all those microphones are on, and we're ready. So, John, you want to go? Okay, John Metott.
I'm John. I work at GLOBALFOUNDRIES. GLOBALFOUNDRIES is a very, very large company. They're international. We got plants in Singapore, we got them in Germany, and our primary plant is going to be here in Malta, New York. We have a clean room right now operating. You could put 6 football fields inside it. And by a clean room, I am dressed like a doctor every day I go to work. I have a full gown on, face mask, hair cover, everything. What I do is I repair the tools that make computer chips. And these computer chips are very tiny. We make them on discs. They're about the size of an old 33 record. You guys probably don't even know what those are. But they're round discs, very thin, very fragile, silicon. Each one of these chips, you can get hundreds of these chips on one of these discs. And each one of these chips is enough to run this college. There's up to 1 billion transistors on these chips, the size of your fingernail. That's how big a computer chip actually is. A lot of storage of data. Maintaining these tools is a very exciting job. The technology today, a year ago, we were in technological development plant. That's mainly what we did, was develop technology. Now, we're ramping up manufacturing. Just as Bob Gear said, it used to be years after something was developed, it would start being manufactured. No, this is now. You create it, then you do it. And that's what we're doing with this technology. Nanotechnology today is going to explode in this area. We got the new plant here that's going up, this fab here, and we're building 2 more fabs the size of the one we have now. So if any of you are interested in nanotechnology, push your educators to get a program. Go to colleges that have a nanotechnology program because it's exploding. We're at 14 nanometer right now in manufacturing. 14 nanometer is about the size of a virus. That's how small these transistors are. But my job is to make sure the tools that make those are maintained and run properly. And that's basically what I do. I went to MVCC, got my electrical engineering degree at the age of 45, and I've been working in this field ever since, and I love it. I go in clean, come home clean. As a matter of fact, usually when I come home, I'm cleaner than when I get there. But that's basically how this place will be. It's going to be just like it. It's going to be a clean room, clean environment. We're about 5 times cleaner than an operating room. So it's a different kind of life. You have to maintain, you know, you get a rip in your gown, you got to go out and change it because that would let particle in. One piece of dust can wipe out half of a computer chip. So it's a different world. And that's about all I have on that.
Okay, I have some questions for John while you're thinking, because I know you're thinking. John, did you mention how many jobs you said were available at GlobalFoundries? You talked to me the other day, and
there are thousands of jobs available now, and there's going to be a lot more in the future. We can't hire enough experienced or educated people in this area. We go to all the colleges and we try and recruit all the people we can. 2-year degree, 4-year degree, they're all in need, all of them.
You know, I think this is important because we're going to be bringing that same level of manufacturing to the Mohawk Valley. And that's our hope and that's our goal in the next few years. So if they're having trouble attracting people in Malta, we need to start thinking about preparing now to get folks ready for the Mohawk Valley when manufacturing comes here in nanotechnology. So John, can you tell me, about a test you took to get this job? It was the most interesting test I've ever heard of.
Yeah, they do. You take a lot of tests trying to get into this job, but the most interesting one is we built little cars this big. We had tires, windshields, doors, and everything. And the idea of this is they put a small group together, 5 or 6 people, to see how they work together as a team. And you have to buy the parts for the cars. Then you have to assemble the cars, and then you have to sell the cars. And this is all a process that is analyzed. And when you buy the parts, some of them will have a mark on them. You don't see it until after you get it. And that's a defect. If there's a mark on a car and you build your car with it, you can't sell it. So it's all about being a team, forming a group, and analyzing what car you want to do. There was different color cars. You could get a red car, a blue car, or a yellow car. Well, the red car would be in popular demand. The yellow, not so much, but the yellow car is cheaper to get the parts. And they would analyze how much money you made through each round of this process. And if you, like I said, if you assembled a car and you had extra parts at the end because there was a few defects, so you couldn't get a full car, You could keep those for the next round, but you couldn't build a yellow and a red car. So it was a thinking process, and they had a bunch of managers around us watching us build these little, like Lego cars. And they analyzed everybody as they were doing it. It was the most interesting test I ever took. Apparently, I passed.
So educators, remember when our provost, Bill Durgan, was talking earlier about the importance of project-based learning? Well, here's an example of an employment test where they had to use those very same critical thinking skills. So we can't emphasize that enough. If we're going to prepare these kids for these jobs, that's what we need to encourage. Building, cooperative learning, collaboration, right? And
Teamwork.
teamwork. So the soft skills are just as important.
Teamwork is crucial. I couldn't do my job without the rest of my team. It wouldn't even be possible. But
Can you stand a little closer?
the emphasis now, there's no individuality at GlobalFoundries. When they're developing a process, there'll be a team of 8 to 10 people, and we have some of the smartest people from all over the world. Right now, we have over 50 countries represented in our employment. We have all the flags all the way around our cafeteria at work for all the countries that are represented there. So we have some of the smartest people in the world working on this technology, and they all work together. And you would think the communication would be an issue, but it's not so much. You learn to talk to each other in many ways, and they all work together, and I don't know of anybody that don't get along there.
All right, students, do you have any questions about nanotechnology and about a career in manufacturing and nanotechnology? I have a last question for John. Do you wear a bunny suit all day to work?
Yes, I do.
That's what they call
fully
it.
gowned. It's a bunny suit, fully gowned. There's no exposed skin. That would be bad. Just dander from your skin will ruin these chips.
So you're saying humans are very dirty, right?
Yes.
And around a chip, if a hair fell on a computer chip, it would be,
It would-
$1 million mistake, basically.
Yes. It would easily, you could easily destroy over $1 million in computer chips with one hair. One hair. I'm not talking long hair like mine. Short hair, like on your arm. That would be bad. And just dander from the skin. If it got on the pad that polishes these wafers, it would destroy 25 of them before anybody'd even know it. So it's a very, very clean, very high-tech, interesting experience and very challenging.
John, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Folks, this is Theresa Corr from Trenton Technologies, which is right up the road, basically, from us, a local manufacturer, and our former SUNY IT grad. So go ahead, Theresa. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Theresa. I graduated from New Hartford in 2005, in which case I left and went to RIT and decided it wasn't really my thing, so I came back home. And I went to MB for 2 years and then graduated here from SUNY IT. I started my internship at Trenton Technology in 2006 because I came home and, not gonna lie, I was bored, so I wanted to work and make sure what I was doing was what I actually wanted to do with my life. So I stayed there for the summer and then went back to school. And when I moved back home, my boss found out that I had moved back home, and Trenton Technology was growing fairly large and very fast, and he needed some extra help. So he called me and said, hey, you want to work part-time? I could use the extra help. And I said, sure, why not? So I stayed there, and I've been working ever since. And when I graduated, they offered me a full-time position, which I definitely accepted. So I've been working there since I graduated, and I absolutely love my job. What we do is manufacture circuit boards. So we don't actually make the bare boards or any of the parts. That's John's job. We actually just populate the bare boards with parts and all that kind of thing. We do some testing, and we also do some final product that goes into plastic, which is part of my favorite part of the job. We get customers that'll come to us and say, hey, we have this plastics, can you design the board? And oh yeah, make sure it fits. So Ed, my boss, will send me plastic designs, and he'll say, hey, tell me where holes need to be, tell me what the tolerances are, make sure this fits inside before I go and buy something that's not gonna work. While I was in school, I took a class called SolidWorks, probably one of my favorite classes, and luckily I still get to use that. So I guess there's one thing that I wish I had taken more, so keep this in the back of your mind. Anybody that's mechanical, electrical background sometimes comes in handy. My boss is electrical, I'm mechanical, so the two of us work very closely, but there's a lot of stuff that he does, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So let me tell you about a little bit about what we do. I know most of you have heard about the Lego Mindstorm that Elizabeth Rossi, I'm sure, is floating around somewhere. She does a lot with. We actually build the Lego Mindstorm sensors. So that's kind of a fun little thing. My boss and I actually go to the tournaments, and we do the judges and that kind of thing. We also do fork truck electronics for a company that's local in New York. We also do a lot of things for our military. A lot of the circuitry that we design goes to the local Lockheed Martin, that kind of thing. It's actually kind of cool to think that a lot of the stuff that we design is going to protect our guys overseas. So we also have a wireless security system that we make. It's a good partner with us. We do start to finish on them. We actually do some of the board design, and we do some of the final product. We are their one-stop shop. We build, we manufacture, and we ship it out directly to customers. So that one was fun because we get to do a lot with the plastics and board designs. So I think Kate asked me to find out the best thing that I love about my job. I do not do the same thing every day. I walk in, I'm in jeans and a t-shirt. It's not uncommon for me to be crawling underneath a piece of equipment, trying to figure out what's wrong with it, or making sure it's working properly. And it's not uncommon for any of them to say, hey, you got small hands, come here for a second, I need your help. So it's fun. I love my job. I love that I don't know what I'm doing every day. And as I had mentioned to Kate, I was a little late getting her information because last week we had servers go down, which was interesting because nothing in the facility was working. We had no drawings out on the floor, which means everybody that was doing the assembling didn't have anything to look at. They didn't have drawings, they didn't have lists of parts. We couldn't go find the parts even if we wanted to because we didn't know where they were. So that was interesting. But that's not uncommon. I mean, obviously that's not a good thing, but when I walk in, I never know what it's going to be like from a day-to-day basis. So that's my favorite thing.
Okay, so who has questions for Theresa? Anybody? Yeah, come on up to the mic. Thank you. While he's walking up there, I have a question, Theresa. What was your favorite class in high school?
In high school? Probably science, and I know that sounds weird.
No.
My science teacher was actually the one that got me involved in engineering. She pulled me aside one day after work. She's like, have you ever considered going into engineering? And I looked at her and I went, no, I don't even know much about it. And she looked at me and said, you're pretty good in science, you might enjoy it. And actually, when I graduated from New Hartford, she's actually the one that put me in Project Lead the Way, which I don't even know if they still have it, but
yes,
she's the one that made sure I got put in those classes, and so.
You have a question from the back.
What are some of the main things you manufacture?
We manufacture circuit boards, so kind of take your pick. We do military things, which are high in radar frequency, that kind of thing, but we also do wireless communications with the security projects that we do. The toys, I mean, the Lego Mindstorm's just a little toy. It's only about that big. So we do quite a range. We have teeny tiny little parts that we can't place by hand. They're the size of a grain of salt. So.
Alrighty, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? You have a question? I have a question about Trenton Technologies. How many people do they employ?
Right now we have roughly 200, but when I first started, I was actually the youngest one there, and we had about 60, 70. So it's grown pretty big in the last few years.
You've only been there a few years, right?
Yes. Well,
Wow.
I've been there 5. So yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we've grown pretty much.
So that's a success story, right? For local manufacturing. That's great to hear.
Yep.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay. Thank you, Theresa, very much. Okay, our next speaker. Can you? Okay, our next speaker is Victoria, or Vicky Curz-Griffith from Indium Corporation. And she's going to talk to you about her job and her education at Utica College, right?
Hi, morning everyone. Can you hear me all right? Everyone? How about now? Better? Okay, so I wanted to talk to you today about my transition from student to young professional. Just to give you some background on me, I grew up in a town called Port Chester, New York. It's about 25 miles from New York City, and it's famous for being the birthplace of Ed Sullivan. The post office is a national landmark. The Capitol Theater has hosted bands and performers such as the Rolling Stones, Janis Joplin, Hugh Laurie recently performed there. You might know him as Dr. House, and Regina Spektor. It's also famous for the Port Chester High School Marching Band, and 5 points to anyone who can name. Yeah, I hear some clapping. Marching band people in the house? Yes. So you guys know what that instrument is then, right? I have a degree in journalism from Utica College, and I started there. I switched my degree to journalism after spending a year as an English education major, because I believed when my high school teachers told me, you got to know what you want to do when you go to college. So how many of you are in high school right now? So the majority of you. I'll tell you this. When you get to college, you're going to be exposed to so many more things, and what you think you want to do right now, you might actually not end up pursuing that field. And I know a couple of you are rolling your eyes and saying, I definitely know what I want to do, and that was me too, trust me. So after I joined the Utica College Tangerine, which is our newspaper, I really found a passion for journalism. So I dove right into it, and through the next 3 years, I did several internships at some local media that you might be familiar with, the Utica OD, WKTV. I also interned at my hometown newspaper, the Port Chester Westmore News, and this gave me some great experience that I otherwise wouldn't have learned about in a classroom. So if there's one thing you take away from today, do as many internships as possible. It makes you look great when it comes to your resume, and the more experience you have, the more likely you are to get selected for a job. So just a little information about Indium Corporation. We are a global manufacturing company. We have 12 facilities worldwide and employ about 700 people. 400 of those people are based right here in the Mohawk Valley. So what do we make? Basically, we make joining materials that go onto circuit boards that then go into smartphones, tablets. If you have a smartphone in your pocket right now, or if you're tweeting on it, it has indium in it. So that's what I did as a student. So here I'll tell you about what I do as a young professional. Trade shows. My primary responsibility at Indium is our trade show coordinator. I coordinate about 40 to 50 shows per year. Some of them are small tabletops like you see out in the exhibit, and others are 20 by 20 exhibits at national conferences. Public relations. This is the most closely related thing that I do to what I studied in school as a journalism student. We do news releases and product previews about people joining the company, new products that we're introducing. You can see, for example, right here, we did a news release about our participation in the event today. And it's more than just news releases, product previews. Right now I'm working on a media campaign and event about the new tech center that we're opening in Malaysia. Social media marketing. Now, I'm assuming that most of us in this room right now are the millennial generation, and we were the first to use and really own social media. And this is something that we should be proud of and we should own, because this is the first introduction of a new media since the internet, and that happened before most of us were born. So this is something we should really push and own and be proud of. I can't stress that enough. So I'm lucky enough where I get to use social media in my job, and we use a variety of different mediums. Some you're familiar with, Facebook, Twitter, Vine. We also use LinkedIn, which you'll probably get a little more familiar with as you get into college and start thinking about your careers. The way we use these is very different. For example, Facebook is more of our connecting with our local audience, so our employees, their neighbors, their families, the people down the street who might have heard about us but don't really know what we do. LinkedIn, Twitter, Vine, these are all used to connect to our industry, to establish ourselves as thought leaders, to help people solve their problems that they're facing. Advertising. I started managing our advertising program mainly because it was so closely related to the process we use to develop our trade show graphics. I work with our product managers to do about 100 or so placements a year, and these are in industry magazines. You might have seen a few of our ads locally in some of the local papers, or if you've attended some of the events, they're in there. So a question I'm asked pretty frequently is, okay, you've been in this job for 2 years, where can you go from here? And the answer really is, I can go anywhere. Indium has a lot of opportunities that are available to me. The president of the company started as a bench chemist. The vice president of the company has experience in sales and tech support. But I gotta stress to you that it's all about the opportunities you make for yourself. So if you want to advance, you gotta push. You gotta show that you're the person that your future employer is going to need. So I just wanted to say that manufacturing is really diverse. We need people in HR, in IT, we need people in R&D, in sales. So if you're in this room right now, there's a job in manufacturing for you. And I highly encourage you to take advantage of that and to push forward and explore opportunities in this great field.
Thank you very much. Excellent. So, what I love about Vicky's story is that she didn't have that technical science, track. She wasn't a science major in college. Probably wasn't your favorite course in high school. I'm guessing English was, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, there's a role for her in manufacturing, and she's doing very, very well at Indium Corporation. Does anyone have a question for her? Yeah, come on up.
What did you want to do before you got into engineering, and did that influence you in what you're doing right now?
I really wanted to do print journalism, specifically photography, but my senior year in college, I interned in our marketing communications office and found that I really enjoyed that office atmosphere, and I really kind of like doing the behind-the-scenes work and helping promote our events and all of that kind of thing.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Anyone else? Good.
Hi, I'm Mr. Tom, as my students would refer to me as. One thing I would like everyone actually on the panel to say, or maybe just yourself, we're curious on what work ethic skills that you or your places of business deem the most important. What are you looking for from us on a personal aspect? And I think that's it. Thanks.
One thing we say in our department pretty frequently is never be normal. Never maintain the status quo. Always look to do something different. And I think that's really, some of the best innovations come out of someone just being crazy and doing something that's completely unexpected.
I think I'd like the other panelists too to answer that. You were talking about maybe some of the soft skills that your employers want from you, like things like punctuality or how you work with teammates, that kind of thing. Is that what you were looking for? Okay.
Yeah, punctuality, of course, is pretty important, but creativity, thinking outside the box, don't don't follow the status quo. You got to think outside the box. You got to be creative.
I would have to agree. I think the most important thing that we ask is, how are your people skills? I'm out on the floor every day. There's a very rarity that I'm actually sitting at my desk, and when I am, I kind of don't like it. I'd rather be out on the floor doing things. So you have to have the good people skills to interact with all different kinds of people, different nationalities, anything. So I think your people skills are probably the most important thing that we look for.
All right. Our last speaker, Vicki, thank you very much, by the way. It was excellent. Our last speaker is Yevgeniy Brutskiy, and he's our welder. He's from Whitesboro and went to OHM BOCES and is now working at a local manufacturer. So go ahead.
Ninth grade, our technology class had a career day, and I guess the only place that interested me there was the welding place. After that, I liked welding, and I went to a school in Whitesboro and took welding in BOCES. And pretty much after I graduated, I expected a few weeks off to relax, but not even a week after my graduation, I got a call about a job, and I applied there, and I got the job, and a welding job. Took a test, took a math test, took a welding test in order to get the job, and will be taking a blueprint reading test. You know how to read blueprints, it's a good skill. And that's pretty much it.
Yevgeniy,
Questions?
can you tell me about the test you had to take to get your job? He and John both had these tests they had to take. Can you tell me about it?
The test, well, it had a few different types of joints, a few different types of welding, MIG and TIG, and had to do pretty much just the corner joints. You had to do a butt joint, a fillet weld, a lap joint, and that was pretty much it.
Did you also have a math test?
Yes, I took that earlier.
How often do you use math?
Pretty much every job that they give us to do, I would use math and blueprints.
Every single day. Tell me a little bit about the teacher you had at BOCES.
Yeah, my teacher, he was a really good teacher. I know there's a class here from him. I look up to him, and he taught me a lot of what I'm doing in my job. Mr. Fisher.
And was Mr. Fisher the one that told you about this
Yes,
opening?
He's the one who gave me a call about it.
Is there any kind of certification you get from BOCES in welding?
Well, you can do a few certifications. Yes.
My name's Ben. I'm in welding at BOCES. What kind of process do you use most?
It's mostly made of MIG and TIG where I work. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay, Yevgeniy, thank you very much. Okay, so you could see all four panelists came from very different places, very different educations, and all ended up in manufacturing. Since all four are back here, do you have any questions about the company they're working for or their backgrounds that prepared them for this track? Anybody? Yeah, come on up.
For all four, was it difficult or easy finding a job in manufacturing after you were out of college and school?
Did any of you hear the question? He asked, was it difficult? Stay up there. I want to make sure I've got your question right. Was it difficult or easy to find a job in manufacturing? Good question.
Well, I found it easy, but I don't know if that's always the case. But I was lucky. I got an internship, and I ended up staying there. So I guess the best thing I can tell you is get an intern. You know, internships are the best way of finding out, A, if you like doing what you do, and B, if you want to be in a large facility, a small facility. I think that's your best bet, is making sure you find internships, and don't just pick one, pick a few. You know, every summer pick something different.
At Global, we get a lot of interns, and after they graduate, we hire between 80 to 90% of them end up working with GLOBALFOUNDRIES. I push the intern program very much, and our interns work in different areas of the company. They'll work 1 month in one area and they'll try another area, and they find where they're comfortable, and then they end up coming back and working for us. And in my case, I was hired before I graduated college at GLOBALFOUNDRIES. They hired me about a month before, and I had to wait to go to work until I graduated.
I found it to be pretty difficult, actually, to find a job because I didn't really go into the engineering. I went into the marketing side of it. I did find my job through a local listing on a website and then went through the interview process. So I would just advise to, if you are looking for a job, keep an eye out on your local listings because there's a lot of opportunity here in the Mohawk Valley.
For me, it was pretty easy because I just got a call about it. But the most annoying part, the hardest part, most annoying was the paperwork. So pretty much the rest was easy.
Okay. So one of the recurring themes I hear are internships. Very important. So when you're looking at colleges, that's a question you should ask. Does the college promote internships or co-ops where you're actually working while you're learning? And if they do, that's a very positive. It's a very positive aspect of the college. Okay. The good thing about internships is you're kind of vetting the company while they're vetting you. It works both ways. You're looking to see, is this a company I want to work for? And they're looking at you and saying, do we really want you here? So, any other questions for our panel? Good.
I'm from BOCES.
Viv, would you move
Question. I feel really short. Anyways, as BOCES people, we were looking more into going and seeing places. Is that possible? Like, as a BOCES team, we could go visit places where people actually work so we could see what we were going into.
So I think your question is, do plant tours, or are they available? Like, can you go in and visit manufacturers?
Yeah.
It's a great question.
My boss and I give tours at least once a month, if not more. So yeah, you're welcome to come visit Trenton whenever you want. Just give us a heads up, that's all.
Indium Corporation has done a number of student tours over the years, and the person, if you're interested in touring to speak to, is actually here. He's running our exhibit right now, so if you stop by during the exhibit, I can introduce you and see if we can get something going.
I think that you would be able to, but I'm not sure about my job, but I think you would be able to.
Doing tours at GlobalFoundries is very restricted just due to the cutting edge technology. We're cautious that it would be leaked out. But yes, it is possible. I know a couple of the colleges that are local have brought people in to tour, but it's very limited.
I know an alternative to the tour thing too. Indium Corporation is very clever in that they've taken their show on the road. So it's in your program, teachers, if you're interested in this. But they will have their engineers come to your classroom and make presentations and talk to you about careers at Indium. So rather than you hopping on a bus and going there, they'll bring it to you. So, and again, the contact person from Indium Corporation is right out at the booth. His name is Jim McCoy. Any other questions? That was a great one, by the way, plant tour. Anybody else? Okay.